Today, I want to talk about right thought. This is the second spoke on the wheel of Dharma that I've been discussing the last few weeks. This is the Noble Eightfold Path of Buddhism, which is attached to the Four Noble Truths. You can find all the prior discourses on my YouTube channel at J.R. Redford Spirituality. Okay, so right off the bat, most good things are simple. This is a simple one. Right thought is about what am I thinking about? Because whatever I'm thinking about is going to be what I'm emanating to the world. So am I thinking about things that are good, or am I thinking about things that are bad? And this doesn't mean that I need to be naive, but it means that I should always try to have the perspective of things being for, like, the glass is half full, more or less. I spent many years being a glass is half empty guy, and there's really no point, because the truth is, whether you think everything is bad or you think everything is good, you're right, because it's all just human perception. So, like, I pretty much can decide, like, how do I want my experience to be? And, like, I will talk about somebody else rather than myself in this way. But, like, you hear about people who were, you hear about people that were imprisoned, I mean, I read somewhere that the monks in Tibet that were imprisoned when China invaded, they said that they survived because they never lost their compassion for the people that were imprisoning them. And I've heard stories about during the Holocaust, there were Jews in the concentration camps that kept positive mindset and were able to endure some terrible things. And so I use those two examples because those are examples of extreme cases where people used right thought and faith to get through something that was very, very, very difficult. I have had some troubles, but I've never had troubles like that. So I use those as examples. And there are plenty of other ones, I'm sure. Those are just the two off the top of my head that I've talked to people about. So my friend Kathy, she's a very wise lady and a good friend and a good teacher to me. And she says things should always be positive or neutral, and that I should stay out of the negative. And like I said, this doesn't mean that I have to be naive. It just means that I need to try to see things through the lens of positivity. And it will drive your ego nuts. I mean, it's just driven mine nuts. But if you keep on it, you use your consciousness to keep focusing on the thoughts that are correct and right, what happens is everything else starts to follow, because you're speaking it into existence, or you're thinking it into existence. And man, people told me this for years, and I was like, yeah, whatever, but I can't tell you how much my life has changed because of this practice. A good book to read on this is Emmett Fox, Sermon on the Mount. He talks about the Sermon on the Mount in the Bible. I'm not huge. I love the Bible, but I'm not super familiar with the different books and stuff. But this book is about this thing that I'm talking about right now. And he's like, basically, like, everything comes from a thought. So, like, he says we should basically focus on God, and we should focus on what's good. God being, like, creative intelligence, or whatever you want to call it. And so I think this is important because it's so easy and it's free. And all I have to do is, when I have negative thoughts, you don't try to push the negative thoughts away. You rather try to spin them in a way that's positive. So you're growing the positive and sometimes the neutral. You're growing the positive and the neutral so that it pushes the negative out. And you can't push the negative out. Like I said in the video before, what you resist, Carl Jung, what you resist persists. So instead of trying to push away the negative, I don't want to be negative, I don't want to be negative, you're pulling negativity towards you when you do that. But if you're saying, well, I didn't like that movie. You can say something like, well, I could see how some people would like it, but it's not my thing. Or you can say, like, I didn't understand it. This is a stupid example, but like, you get what I mean. Like, instead of saying something is just all bad, try to find some good in it. And what happens is your perception starts to, instead of focusing on the bad, because the yin yang dualism is half good, half positive, half negative, half good, half bad. So it's my choice. What do I want it to be? And so I think that this is why they say, like, my thoughts should focus on law, on universal law. My thoughts should focus on Dharma. My thoughts should focus on compassion. And so there's a story from Greg Braden, who I love. He's great. You should check him out. He says when he went to Tibet and some of these ancient monasteries up in the mountains, he got to discuss some things with this abbot of this monastery, which the abbot is like the head guy. And he had a translator, and he was speaking to this guy, and he says, what does this guy believe that all this is? What does he believe, like, this is, like, me, like this chair, like this microphone? What is this? Like, what, in your view of the Buddhist ideal, like, what is all this stuff? And the translator and the guy go back and forth, and the translator comes back and says, compassion. And Greg Braden's like, what? And he's like, would you ask him again? And he's like, you mean that this matter, all this is compassion? And they go back and forth, and he says, yes. And that just blew me away, because this man got his practice to where he only sees compassion. He only sees light. He doesn't see dark. I mean, obviously there is dark, but you get what I mean. Like, his perception is focused on the light. And that sounds like a pretty fun way to live to me. So I hope this wasn't too boring today, but this is an important one, and it's also attached to understanding. I view, like, understanding as like the net of, like, where everything starts from. Like, my understanding of the way that things are, the true nature of things. And then I see right thought as, like, what am I choosing to focus on? And so, yeah, I hope this is helpful. And if you dug this, give me a follow for this more kind of content. All right, right now I'm going down the rabbit hole with the Four Noble Truths and the Buddhist Eightfold Path, but I will be discussing a lot of other religions too on this channel. So stay tuned, and yeah, I hope you have a great day. Thank you. Bye.